Chapter 20. While mankind is caught up in the delusion of servitude within the belief that the real rewards for obedience are withheld until the end of the lifetime and are to be experienced in another realm, one's personal power is totally compromised. She lives in a state of belief that control rests outside of any real personal control. God is the ultimate source of all good. Humans themselves are the cause of all bad because of disobedience to some known or unknown laws, rules, or regulations that they have broken. Obedience and service are the watchwords of goodness, which is the ideal of life. To further add to the ambiguity of the situation, commitment to obedience and service allows for cruel and inhumane treatment of fellow humans at the discretion of religion and government. Within this system, there is no true freedom for mankind to determine who and what they are. There is no freedom to understand that the God concept as taught is one perpetrated for one purpose only, to enslave and control beings that have the potential of becoming totally equal to and surpassing the evolvement of those who are foisting this enslaving situation on the humans living on this planet. Until the humans on this planet are willing to awaken to the illogical data that is presented and understand that it has an underlying purpose, and to accept that it is done for the purpose of control and for no other reason, no progress toward true freedom can be attained. Life for humanity will continue on as it has for thousands of years. The games of manipulation that are in progress now are but a prelude to the events to come. The aptitudes and adaptabilities of the human body and psyche are being thoroughly studied in order to ascertain the future uses which the most adaptable will be expected to withstand. A minimum criterion is being established, and only those that meet this will be kept and allowed to procreate. All others are expendable by whatever means are chosen, all of which will be part of the survival of the adaptable experiments. As unbelievable as this information may seem, it is the real truth of what underlies the chaotic activities that are happening on this planet. What appears to be chaotic to the participants is a well-planned strategy to keep the inhabitants in a state of confusion so that there will be no organization by them to exchange information in a real way toward an understanding of what is their intended future. It is imperative that a portion of mankind think carefully through these messages and come to see the logic and sense of them. These awake and aware people must then begin to actively share this information with all that have the ability to stretch their awareness to understand and accept these concepts through logical thinking, and to begin to become aware that the potential of personal power far exceeds their victim reticence. Further, they must understand that this personal power need not and must not be measured in aggressive tendencies, but in the measure of mental, emotional, and spiritual focus. It is important to understand that the spiritual focus is not that of the traditional religions toward a benevolent or malevolent God outside of the self. Each must come to understand that their power rests in the recognition that each has the opportunity to participate within the consciousness of galactic citizenship that contributes to the composite of how the creative expansive energies of potentiality are directed either toward positive or negative group experience. Unfortunately, this sector of this galaxy has long been caught up within the negative victim and aggressor experience. It will take true commitment and focused desire to break free of this well-established pattern of experience. It is important to note that the matrix of this pattern has now reached a level of vibratory expression that is at its limits. It is at a point of vulnerability that will allow it to disintegrate into its own chaotic destruction if a new consciousness among its victims were to become well established. It is this goal that underlies the purpose of these messages. It is this change in consciousness that can be the catalyst that can bring about change and the end to the extremely negative experience that has held this planet and others within its web. These messages are but part of an organized effort to awaken humanity on this planet. By opening to the possibility that the information contains truth with a capital T, it is possible to begin to find verification of it through other published material. It must be remembered that available information is published through the perception and prejudice of the personal interpretation of the authors. Thus contradictions will be found. Truth can be perceived as existing at the center of a circle with opinion and interpretation focused on it from 360 degrees of observation. It does exist, and the more degrees from which it is observed, the clearer the perception of it becomes. It is the openness to its existence that allows for the clarity and understanding of what is the truth that is grasped. That mankind was purposefully pushed along its path of evolvement for reasons of servitude are at the basis of understanding the situation the inhabitants of this planet find themselves in at this moment. What must be further understood is that the gift of self-awareness allows mankind to understand they are not limited to this servitude. It allows them to lift themselves beyond this experience into full galactic citizenship with equal opportunity for continued evolvement and participation in the expansion of potentiality. There is no permission from some unknowable super being required. It is your already inherited gift. Each must, however, accept the gift and move into the available citizenship and accept not only its benefits, but its responsibilities by first realizing and accepting the true situation that surrounds them and deciding it is time to change it, not sometime in the future, but now. There are now available shifts in cycles and other coincidental phenomena to support the necessary change in consciousness. These will assist humanity if the wisdom to take advantage of this perfect time for change is utilized. Chapter 21. The time to prepare for the adversities to come is now. What can be done? It is imperative that each begins not with the outer concerns but with that which is within. By that, it is meant that each must come into the realization that the attitude and opinions about who and what each one is must be the basis. It must be fully understood that time and consent are the two necessary ingredients to be contributed by each. The time is now and the consent is to accept a total change in the understanding of who and what each of you are. Each is to begin by opening to the idea that virtually all that has been taught with regard to the past, present, and future of all of humanity on this planet has been a deception. It is necessary to accept as true reality that which has been told as myth, that which has been denied and what has been predicted, prophesied as the inevitable future. A new foundation must be laid as a basis for the new conception of humanity as holistic, self-contained beings whose inner awareness is the source of their identity. The process of changing the reality from permission to exist from an outside source to personal responsibility is not an easy transition. It requires rethinking most awareness processes. The training to ask permission to literally exist is begun at the earliest stages of development and is presently programmed into virtually every focus of ongoing life experience. Once the truth of the deception is accepted, then the change of belief is met in each day's myriad small decisions. Each momentary choice must be examined in the beginning to determine if it is influenced by personal inner knowingness regarding its appropriateness in light of the new foundation for understanding. The right to personal decision as to what to do carries with it the choice not only as to the appropriateness with regard to the person making it, but also with regard to how the decision will affect those to whom the effects will ripple outward in touch. This requires the acceptance of responsibility with regard to a larger picture. The effects can no longer be transferred to the power that formerly was responsible for granting the desire and must be accepted by the individual making the decision. The effects of the decision must be accepted and borne by the decision maker. Thus the acceptance to participate in the creation of a new picture of human experience entails the process of maturation into citizenship rather than subordination to an overseeing entity. Through the careful consideration of this concept, it can be seen that acceptance of the disadvantages of slavery has also had the advantage of ducking the responsibilities that taking control of one's own experience carries with it. Just as the settlers, pioneers that followed the discovery of the North American continent by the European countries sailed across unknown waters into unknown situations, so also will the new awareness pioneers find adversities to encounter and to deal with on a moment-to-moment basis. The most important will be found within their own conscious awareness, for it will be there that the decisions will be made that determine the outcome of humanity's future for a very long time to come. The coordination of cosmic cycles that are available to assist in this epic consciousness change will not be available to assist again for a long time in linear counting. The focus of awareness by cosmic, galactic forces will allow the mass conscious decision by humanity to rule its future and turn their attention elsewhere. Earth's human population has this opportunity to mature and grow into greater evolvement, but it will not be forced upon them. The opportunity is just that, an opportunity offered. It must be accepted and acted upon in order to bring about the changes that are available. It cannot be accomplished by only a few, but those few must spread their understandings with concerted effort and zeal in order that the necessary quotient can be reached. It will not be easy. It cannot be put off any longer or left for someone else to accomplish. The window of opportunity will remain open for a mathematically exact time, and when it closes, it simply closes. If it does, the future of Earth's inhabitants and the planet is bleak indeed. Both will continue to be exploited without mercy. The influence of forces from outside this planet and this solar system underlie all that is happening on this planet. This is a positive given. These forces are legion and are vying among themselves for control. This is also obvious, and yet sleeping humanity sees it only in terms of their own small personal experience. The conflicting stories of worldwide activity that reflect these forces at odds with each other are plainly reported even in the controlled media stories. But this goes undetected because the larger picture is obscured by deception from the awareness of the most educated and supposedly informed. The lack of the ability to put all of the puzzle pieces together into a coherent and logical picture leaves confusion as the only available conclusion to all but a few. The necessity to continue to enlarge the picture beyond what even the most informed and analytical minds have done holds the truth beyond understanding. The picture is very, very large indeed. As has been said, truth is stranger than fiction. Even the most imaginative science fiction writers have not grasped the reality of what is the true picture. It is important that this large picture become known, and it can only become known when Earth's people, one by one, accept the truth of victim consciousness being the first layer of the foundation that must be torn out and replaced. It must be replaced with the understanding that humans on this planet are not second-class citizens. Claiming the ownership and governing of their planet is their rightful inheritance. It is their duty and their responsibility. The planet rightfully belongs to its citizens, not to those of another planet or solar system. In order to control their own planet, Earth's citizens must control their own attitude and thoughts about themselves. They must know themselves to be worthy of self-decision without permission from other beings or imaginary god or gods. This requires courage and the ability to respond to challenges. It is in the blood, the mind, and the heart to do this if the programming and the attacks on the health of the physical, emotional and spiritual aspects of human existence can be transcended before these do further damage. The results of the decisions to be made by the readers of these messages are critical not only for those doing the reading, but for the future generations of humanity on this planet for a long time to come, if, indeed, there are to be any future generations. This will depend upon which of the vying forces may indeed win out if humanity drops the ball. End chapter 21.